So, Scooby-Doo. We all know who Scooby-Doo is. He's a pop culture icon. Unless you lived in a cave for the last 52 years where your only food is discarded hobnob wrappers and Capri Sun pouches. I have no doubt you've seen one of the 14 TV shows there are, or one of the 43 films there are. 43 films, that's insane. Or maybe you played one of the 21 games. I have. And it's going to be what I'm talking about today, Scooby-Doo Nights of 100 Frights. The game was developed by Heavy Iron Studios and published by THQ, and was made using the Renderware engine. The game opens up with a pretty accurate opening of the original Scooby-Doo Where Are You? And the title screen follows suit, emulating the title cards from the original show. The game starts up with Scooby and the gang heading to a place called Mystic Manor to help Daphne's friend Holly solve a mystery.
Yeah. Seafood! Fried clams! Tuna fish!
Steamed clams. Dole!
It's my uncle, the famous inventor, Professor Alexander Graham. He was just about to unveil some new top-secret
Really,
invention
was he now?
when he disappeared without a trace.
That's oddly convenient. So surprised that absolutely nobody, Shaggy and Scooby stay by the mystery machine to stay safe. Get hungry, then proceed to eat Scooby snacks that have been lying on the floor. That turns out to be a trap to separate Shaggy and Scooby, and the game begins.
Raggy? I'm all alone. Oh.
Scooby-Doo Nights of 100 Frights is, at its core, a 3D platformer, like Super Mario 64 or Banjo-Kazooie. Scooby-Doo's movements feel very clean and responsive. Throughout the game you'll be collecting Scooby snacks to open up new areas and collecting monster tokens for collectibles. The game gives you a literal playground to try out Scooby-Doo's movesets, and I think that's a very nice touch. With the Scooby snacks that you've collected from the playground, you open up the manor. Inside you locate a key to unlock a door where Holly has been trapped. She tells us that the one who trapped her was someone called the Mastermind, and that he is also the one behind her uncle's disappearance. On top of that, the Mastermind has also kidnapped Fred, Daphne, and Velma. That's probably the only reason why Scooby-Doo gives two shits about the situation. Holly gives us a map of the manor and the surrounding area, and we go on our quest to save everyone. Scooby-Doo Night of 100 Frights absolutely nails level design by making it feel connected to one another. Areas are split up into different parts and are given witty names. For example, Glamour in the Manor, Shock on the Dock, Fear on the Pier, On Edge in the Hedge, It's a Mean Greenhouse, Chills and Spills on Haunted Hills, Creepy Crawlies in the Hallways, just to name a few. It looks like the developers also took a page out of Super Mario Sunshine's book because you're able to see different levels from other levels. For example, on the level Shock on the Dock, you can see Mystic Manor off in the distance on top of the hill. In certain parts of the game, you will have Shaggy come out of absolutely nowhere in order to help you out on your journey. In this example, a box is lowered down by a winch and is blocking the area. We then have Shaggy come out of absolutely nowhere and tells us that we can swing off his legs on a life preserver, landing on the box and opening up the way. I tell him what a weird and complicated way to do things, then jump on the box myself, pick him up and then chuck him to his death. Also throughout the game you'll find various different inventions made by Professor Alexander Graham. These inventions upgrade and improve Scooby-Doo's moveset over time, allowing him to access new parts of levels and to collect new items. The first major area that you'll explore is Mystic Manor. You'll make your way to the manor roof by going through creepy corridors and winding staircases while fighting old foes from your past. That's definitely not been done before. All joking aside, it is part of the main story, and it's really nice to see these old foes as well. After climbing floor after floor at Mystic Manor, we finally make it to the rooftop, and come face to face with the Mastermind. Oh yeah, did I mention he's voiced by Tim f***ing Curry?
Ah, the infamous Scooby-Doo. Allow me to introduce myself. I am the Mastermind.
So the Mastermind just dumps a bunch of exposition onto Scooby-Doo. He reveals that he is the one who kidnapped the Professor and Scooby-Doo's friends, and the reason why Scooby-Doo's old foes have returned.
But why? That is a mystery you will never solve.
Great, I guess we'll never solve the mystery now. Well, that's brilliant. Alright, let's just pack it up, guys. That's a wrap. Let's go back to the mystery machine. You two, Hayden, you come with me. We then see that Velma's been locked up in a cage and is being guarded by the first boss,
The Black Knight.
The boss fight against the Black Knight is extremely easy. The aim of the fight is to strike the Black Knight with lightning using the 4 buttons by the catwalk as he walks past them. The only real hazard are these battle axes that conduct electricity when they hit the ground, but you can easily avoid them. After defeating the Black Knight, you save Velma, who then loses her glass. Oh my god, they're right f***ing there! During this very cliche Scooby-Doo ordeal, Velma and Scooby actually have a conversation about who the mastermind might actually be. Scooby-Doo mentions the fact that he's seen a spooky groundskeeper around the area.
I don't know. There was a spooky groundskeeper.
A spooky groundskeeper?
Yeah, and ghosts and monsters.
Scooby-Doo, you know there's no such thing as monsters and ghosts. Run, Scooby!
So after Velma runs away from a creeper that only she can see, she accidentally activates one of Professor Alexander Graham's invention crates. Inside the invention crate are galoshes that are designed to never stick to any surface. Scooby-Doo takes a pair so he can use them for later. Now to get to the next boss area of the game is a little bit confusing, but I'll explain it the best I can. So you need to get to the level Fishy Clues for Scooby-Doo, located at the end of Shock in the Dark Part 2. Make your way through the Freaky Fish Factory to get to the level Coast for Some Ghosts. Complete all 3 parts for Coast for Some Ghosts and access Going Down Which Way Part 1. Make your way over to the left to climb up the hill to access Lighthouse Fright House Part 1. Raise the lighthouse light and then run to the very top of the lighthouse, break the lighthouse light and get the Super Smash power-up. Use the power-up to break a hole through the floor to access Lighthouse Fright House Part 2, then use the warp gate to access Shock in the Dock Part 2. Again, break the boards on the ground to access Creepy Crawlers in the Hallways Part 1. Make your way through and access Creepy Crawlers in the Hallways Part 2, and then make your way to the dungeon. Bust your way through these walls to free Shaggy from prison. Pick up Shaggy and throw him into the key to access Creepy Crawlers in the Hallways Part 3. Make your way through the level and pick up the Plunger power-up. Use the warp gate in the room to get the Chills and Spills on Haunted Hill Part 3. Tramp on the Spun to access Scared Stiff at Skull Cliff Part 1. Make your way through all 4 of these levels to access Misbehavin' Cause a Cave-In Part 1. Collect all the keys in the room and use the plungers to access Misbehavin' Cause a Cave-In Part 2. Finally, make it through the last 2 levels, pick up the Supersonic Smash power-up and enter the level A Tight Spot for a Grave Plot Part 1. Oh my god! That took me 2 hours to figure out! After all that, you finally make it to the second area of the game, the cemetery. You'll make your way through creepy mausoleums and spooky graveyards to get to the boss. Oh yeah, I should probably talk about the toll gates. See, I personally don't mind the idea of having toll gates for progression, but you need a lot of Scooby Snacks. And bear in mind, I've been collecting as many Scooby Snacks as physically possible to get to this point, but I've had to spend a lot of these Scooby Snacks on other toll gates throughout the adventure. I guess the plus side is that you are experiencing other parts of levels with new power-ups, but it is still a lot of needless backtracking. I would have rather preferred less toll gates around the map, or toll gates to cost less. Anyway, I get the required Scooby Snacks and make my way through the rest of the graveyard and walk through this place full of guitar monsters and get to the second boss. We see that the mastermind has kidnapped Daphne and Scooby-Doo attempts to rescue her. After Scooby-Doo successfully uses the spin, he manages to save Daphne, but the mastermind has another trick up his sleeve. The worst boss in the game. This boss is so goddamn frustrating, because it's all based on RNG. See, the aim of the boss is really simple. Daphne opens a coffin, you hit a button, and the ghost gets sucked in Ghostbusters style. Problem is, Daphne and the Green Ghost walk on different cycles, so it's hard to predict what button to press. To make matters even worse, there are 2 poison plants located at the sides of the map that can spray poison on 2 of the buttons, limiting your chance of hitting them. You also need to suck in the Green Ghost 3 times. This took me 30 minutes and countless deaths to do. After finally defeating the Green Ghost, you get a cutscene with Scooby and Daphne talking about all the weird stuff going on the manor ground. Holly then emerges from behind a tree with one of the professor's invention crates and informs them about a secret lab on the grounds.
A secret lab?
Scooby-Doo then picks up an umbrella power-up that he can use on gusts of wind to propel himself upwards, while Daphne and Holly enter the back rooms. Scooby-Doo uses this newfound power-up to enter the third area of the game, the Ghost Ships. This is honestly the best looking environment in terms of atmosphere in the whole game. The sound of the crashing waves and gusts of wind intertwined with the distant sound of a foghorn makes the area feel really foreboding. After navigating all these sunken shipwrecks, you'll end up at a menacing pirate ship. You'll collect 4 keys from around the ship to enter the third boss fight room, the captain's quarters. We see that Fred is caught in a life preserver, and Scooby-Doo pulls a lever to free him. But the mastermind wants to one-up us by sticking a barrel on his head and calling the ghost of Redbeard on us. Can someone please get rid of his collar, Fred? No. This boss is another really easy boss fight. These ghosts with yellow hats and coats will spawn, and Scooby-Doo needs to kill them. After doing so, Redbeard will chuck one of his swords into the ropes, lowering a treasure chest. Repeat this process on the other 3 ropes so the treasure chest lands on his head, killing him. We then save Fred as Velma bursts into the room screaming about the creeper. But Fred is soon quick to point out that the creeper is actually just projected onto her glasses. Damn, does someone just add flour to this plot? Because it's getting pretty dummy thick. Shaggy then joins the party by crashing into a barrel of food. Him and Scoot decide to be awful friends by choosing food over the possible fate of their friend in a secret lab. During their selfish endeavour, Shaggy finds chewing gum that you can use to stick enemies in place. Karma soon bites Shaggy and Scooby in the arse as the ghost diver comes out of nowhere and scares off Shaggy, leaving Scooby-Doo to go investigate the secret lab. Now before you can actually enter the secret lab, you're supposed to get this bubble power-up to use on some bats, but I kind of bypassed that. Now these final levels are not f***ing around. They are going to test your knowledge of the game, and messing up even once on some of these levels is really punishing. But it feels really satisfying to complete these levels because at this point you've mastered the controls and the game is rewarding you for mastering these controls. And that's amazing to finish the game. After climbing floor after floor of the secret lab, you finally regroup with the gang. After carefully navigating through f***ing acid, we make it over to the gang. Velma puts all the clues together and comes to the conclusion that all the ghosts and ghouls we've been seeing throughout our journey are actually just real-life looking holograms. After this shocking revelation, Fred comes up with a plan to stop the mastermind, but Scooby-Doo needs to distract the mastermind while they set it up. And this leads to the final fight. This boss fight is pretty challenging. You first have to defeat a wave of enemies and hit the red buttons at the end of the room and repeat that 3 times for the hologram lights to face towards the mastermind. After completing this, the gang will use holograms to project themselves behind the mastermind, scaring them enough to face you face to face. The last thing you need to do is you need to ground pound on top of the mastermind's head and knock him into electricity using your helmet. After defeating the mastermind, he's sucked up in a tube and sent to the entrance of Mystic Manor. The gang surround him, and it's revealed that the mastermind was actually Professor Alexander Greer? But oh no, this plot's got more twists than a curly whirly because it was actually Holly the entire time! So it turns out that Holly wanted to steal her uncle's new invention for her own benefit. So she kidnaps her own uncle, then calls upon the Scooby Gang to solve the mystery that she set up. Bearing in mind she knows everything about the Scooby-Doo gang, so she knows about their 100% success rate in solving mysteries. And on top of that, she uses monsters that they have solved in the past, so only they would know about them. Also, is she expecting her uncle not to say, "No, I was kidnapped"? Does she think he'll just do time in prison for no reason? Her plan makes absolutely no sense! And that was Scooby-Doo Nights 100 Frights. I still think the game holds up to this day. Sure, the visuals may not have aged well, but the gameplay is pretty solid. The soundtrack is absolutely phenomenal as well, and sets the mood for a Scooby-Doo game. I would say my final rating for this game is a 7 out of 10. It's a really good game, but it's bogged down by certain gameplay mechanics that don't really work for me. Mainly the toll gates costing way too much to progress, and the really confusing midpoint progression. This game can really do with a remaster because it would sell like hotcakes on modern systems. But until then, I think the mystery of whether this game is good or not has been solved. I've been Crazy Kyle, and I'll see you in another review.